Hey, everybody, we're glad you're joining us today. We have a lot of great Christmas talk that goes on today. We talk about some family traditions that you may or may not partake in with your family and your children. So you may not want to have all of this discussion played in front of your children. So just a fair warning, nothing graphic, nothing crazy, but we want to give you a little warning before today's episode. You're still going to love it, though. Tell all your friends and family. We're glad you're here. Here we go. Welcome in, GPS to God. We are glad all of you are here. Make sure you hit us up on the old email machine, mailroom@gpstogod.com. You can check out the website, gpstogod.com. That's it. But we're glad you're here. Christmas is rolling up quick.
Be here before you know it.
Absolutely. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But first, the introductions. Let's start on the other side today. We got J.C. Swafford. He's back with us again.
Thanks
for being here.
Appreciate it. Show number 3, episode 3.
He's keeping count. I mean, not many people do that, but he is absolutely keeping score.
I don't want to answer that question. I can't remember how many.
Remember, like on Saturday Night Live, they have the guest host. After you have so many, you get a special jacket. That's what I'm working towards, whatever the prize might be.
Members only jacket coming
Members
up.
only.
Next to him, we got Ryan Gotro. We got Zach Edson with a nice, I don't know what that material is, but nice looking hoodie.
What is that, velvet?
It's almost like alpaca.
And Daniel Sanders, last but not least. And, well, I guess I'm not last. If we shout out to the producer, too. We got Adam Howren over there making things happen.
Making them happen.
Pushing buttons, sliding slides, all that kind of stuff. Hitting switches.
Click.
Yeah.
Just mute Ron. He'll be asleep here in a minute.
Whatever.
Well, thank you for being here. We're glad you're here. We are all in the Christmas spirit. We're ready for a vacation like a lot of you may be. But, we're here for your enjoyment,
Listening enjoyment.
entertainment, and education. we get all three.
I don't know about the education part at this table.
The stretch.
We got movie quotes being thrown out already. What is that, Velvet?
Yeah.
Ryan has no idea what that's from.
Nope.
I'll give you, I'm going to see how many actors I can name that are in that movie, and then we'll see if you have any light bulbs that go off.
The hard part is 2 actors played almost all the characters.
Well, that is true. That is true. Let's go with Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
No, not ringing. No guesses yet.
I know who Eddie Murphy is, but no.
We're off to a bad start.
Yeah. Y'all know my record with movies, okay?
We're just saying if maybe that's changed. We always
Nope.
want to give you a chance at
Guaranteed.
redemption here, and still striking
How many
out.
characters did Eddie Murphy play in that movie?
I mean, we'll have to get back to that. But all right, so we got Eddie Murphy. You have his running buddy Arsenio Hall.
He doesn't know who that is either.
He does not.
I know who that is, but no.
What is he? Well, like, where do you know him from?
This is going to be bad.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have a talk show?
He did.
There we
was.
go.
Yep,
Very,
there
very
you
good.
go.
That's what I know him from. That's
yes.
about it, probably.
There
I
you
think
go.
he's probably a comedian at
There
some
you go.
point.
No,
No,
not
not a
that's
comedian.
what he's most well known for.
Okay.
Is the Arsenio Hall
Whole
show.
Yeah.
President-elect. I don't know if he was elected yet. Bill Clinton was running as. Was he the president already, or he was running for campaigning for?
I think he was already the president. When he
was
played
on-
the saxophone?
when he played saxophone?
Yeah. That's a good question.
There's no point in continuing because I
Maybe
have
he
no
was.
clue.
Because wasn't that the I did not inhale? Is that when he made that declaration?
That would have been, he was elected in 92 the first time. So,
So,
92 and 96.
yeah. So Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall. Let's go with Darth Vader, James Earl Jones.
I know who that is, yes.
He did not play Darth Vader in this movie.
Wow.
Nothing?
No.
Still nothing? Eric LaSalle? Is that the guy's
Yeah.
name? There's
Yes.
no way he's
Nope.
going to
Yeah.
know that. No.
The robber in the McDowell's restaurant.
Oh,
Oh, you
Samuel
just
L.
gave it to him.
Jackson.
You just gave it to him.
No, Samuel L.
Samuel L.
Jackson.
Jackson was in
Well, I
this
know who
movie.
that is, yeah.
When you said McDowell's, that's there.
Yeah. It's,
Well, let's. Does McDowell's ring a bell?
No.
Does it
So
rhyme with
no.
any restaurants that you think about?
Two LP
how-
patties, too.
How about the Soul Glow? Does Soul Glow ring a bell?
Oh, my gosh.
Just give it to him. Just No. You make him watch it too.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
I will watch it, but I still got to watch the other one.
I gave him a bag of 10 movies and he never watched it.
Man,
Did they make
I got a 3-month-old now. I don't have time for movies.
Part 2 came out 2 years ago, I guess.
Yeah.
or something.
Something recently. It came out part 2. No.
Coming to America.
So I know that movie, but I never saw it. Never saw either one of them.
Comment below how ridiculous that is.
Sorry, I have a life. I don't have to watch movies.
I mean, it's only 30 years old or more. I don't know.
Yeah,
88.
that came out.
88.
That came out when I was in
See,
college. So
I wasn't
I'll admit to
even.
that.
I wasn't even born yet.
So you have no rebuttal now.
No, I do. I mean, you know, those movies are still available to be watched even today.
They sure are. And they're going to continue to stay on whatever streaming service they are, or VHS.
I knew you were going with VHS.
I think I've got it on DVD, but it would do no good for me to bring it to you because you're not going to watch it.
Did you have to convert it from like a VHS to a DVD?
No,
Now?
I think they sold it.
They sold it like
as
that?
a DVD. Yeah. Okay. Along with the other 10 DVDs I brought you that you did not watch.
I know.
Speaking
I'm guilty.
of,
I still got to watch Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, The Count of Monte.
Monte Cristo.
Yeah.
It is a good movie. Speaking of JC's college experience, I was speaking about that the other day, maybe yesterday, to some people. We were talking about you were a college baseball pitcher.
I walked on at Tennessee Tech.
Still counts.
Yeah, and I always tell this story just to humble, like I'm something great. And I think across 3 years, I pitched a total of like 22 innings maybe. But did give up a grand slam against Georgia Tech in Atlanta. I came in with the bases loaded, and that score changed in about 2 pitches.
That was somebody else's fault. Those aren't.
I didn't put those people there.
No. And also got to appearance against UT. Got 3 up, 3 down. That was on local Kukul TV, so I have that at home.
Oh, got some footage.
Yes, it was VHS. I had it converted to a disc, so at least you can play it on a DVD player. And let's see, what was the other? The other story I love to tell. I'll get my mom with this. So, of course, we were Cookeville. We came down in the fall. We didn't play Vanderbilt in the regular season for some reason, but we played them in the fall. And the fall schedule was usually about 30 games or whatever it was. So we're playing Vanderbilt in Nashville. I called Mom and Dad and said, "Hey, we're coming down. We're playing Vandy tomorrow afternoon. Dad wants to come out after work. Y'all want to come? Do that?" So okay, we'll see. Whatever. And of course, Mom didn't have a car, so Dad had to drive all the way home, get her, and go all the way back out to West End from Lifeway downtown. But the funny thing was, it was the last inning. We had a lead or something. I can't remember what's going on, but I was just warming up, getting ready to maybe come in. I see the Mom and Dad come walking off in the distance. So, I waved at him, and then some of the guys on the team noticed that. But as Mom got closer and closer, I noticed, I think y'all all know, and for the people in here, we're big Vandy fans in our family. So it was a cooler fall day. So Mom comes walking up. I'm warming up for Tennessee Tech to go into the game, and Mom has on a Vanderbilt jacket. She said, thought it would be cold. I just grabbed a Vandy jacket out of your closet to come on to the game. And so my mom shows up. I'm playing for Tennessee Tech in a Vanderbilt jacket as we play Vanderbilt. So I was like, "Who are you for, Mom?" So I thought,
showing her true colors.
I always like to share that story.
I would have told the guys in the bullpen. What you didn't know is I've been recruited by Vandy. Transfer portal is not a thing.
Not
yet,
a thing.
man.
Yeah.
I'm making it happen.
Playing for Vandy back then wasn't a big deal either, though, because they're not nearly as good as they are now. So
One more thing that he did not touch on. This is what we were talking about yesterday. JC has a baseball card. A college pitcher has a baseball card.
I do.
And I have seen
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I can't locate it anymore. There's only one floating around,
Oh,
and I don't
man.
know what I did with it. But
worth
are
even more
you
money
going to
now.
cover what's on the back of it? Is that what you're
That's the
what
only
you're
thing
hitting?
I remember.
I mean, the internet's undefeated. There's
Yeah.
got to be one out there
Yeah,
somewhere.
I think I've got it at the house somewhere. I don't mind sharing it. I think it's a great laugh. But, when you first show up, the sports information people come out and they give you a sheet of paper. What are your likes? What are your stats and all this? And you fill all that out, and I did all this. So my baseball card came out. It says, he would love to meet Jack Nicklaus. He loves to watch Alf. He loves watermelon and hamburgers and Van Halen. I believe it's the full.
Alf is what I remember.
Alf
That's
is
what
what
I
I
was
was
talking
stuck
about.
out.
Alf was hot back in the 80s, late 80s. It was the talking animal. The puppet was great.
So I was with Jay and Matt. You guys know Jay and Matt. Our listeners have seen Matt on here before on the Preachers episode. But I was talking about Alf. I was like, yeah, I had his favorite TV show listed as Alf. And Jay knew he knew like oh, that's out. Yeah, he was from this planet. And that. Like, he knew all the details. Wow.
Alf stands for alien life form. Planet Melmac. He loved to eat cats. And I could go on.
I understand why now it's on the back of your baseball card. Wow.
Oh, fantastic.
That is great.
Do you have no idea what he's talking about? Google that. You'll see the long-snouted, brown, furry. Yeah.
Real name is Gordon Shumway. That's another little piece of information there.
Just dropping hints over here.
Fact check me over there Adam, if you need to.
I don't think he needs to. Yeah. And if you have any more questions about an 80s sitcom named Alf, email JC at.
That's right.
That's man, that's impressive.
That is
funny.
impressive.
That is too funny.
Have you ever heard of Alf, the TV? Okay.
Yes, I have.
You've heard
yes.
of it? All right.
Yes.
Wow. I'm impressed by that.
Alf is back on like commercials and stuff too, though. Like
It's made a
recently.
resurgence here.
Yeah. I don't remember what commercials, but he's been on some
Thought I meant
commercials.
some random brands.
Yeah. Maybe he was on like Guardians of the Galaxy movie or something. Like,
Was he?
I don't know. I know they had like Howard the Duck and stuff and like some background scenes for those movies. So, I don't know.
How are you up on Alf but not Coming to America?
I've seen it before. I can't help that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Well, that has nothing to do at all with what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to make this non-smooth transition over to the life of Jesus. That is the topic today. More specifically, the birth of Jesus. Christmas time is upon us, and Jesus is the reason for the season. We're just going to talk a little bit about his birth, the time leading up to his birth, maybe the manger scene, or maybe some of the time just after he was born. But we all brought a talking point or two just to highlight that. We may even pull Adam over to a microphone and let him say something. He didn't know. He had zero prep time for that, but start studying, Adam. We might get his perspective here. Maybe. We don't know yet. But that's it. That's all we got. Who wants to go first?
I mean, when I think of Christmas, I think of Jesus in a manger. I think about how he came into this world as just the perfect child, and you think about how simplistic a manger is, and what that meant at that time, and how that relates to the Christ, right? And I just it's just amazing to me. You think of a king, and it's like, oh, there should be all these robes and garments, and everybody should be coming in with horns, and just all the things, and it was nothing like that. I mean, it was just in a manger with shepherds around in a field, being told by other angels to come, hey, the Christ is here. And I don't know. To me, it just seems so against the world of how the greatest person to ever walk this planet was born in a manger. That's,
if I would have thought, I would have maybe tried to get a little video from Hugh Ross, who came on, and let him give some background on like the Christmas star from a scientific perspective.
Yeah.
What was that?
That'd have been cool. Yeah.
woulda,
I
coulda,
thought
shoulda.
about that right now. Hugh Ross,
Shout out.
if you're listening, hey, call in. Let us know.
Call in.
If you have not seen that video, that is still a great video. One of my favorites with Hugh Ross when he was on. And man, did you see that? Did you?
I did not.
Man, you need to go watch that one.
Watch
Loads,
watch
and
the one
loads of
before.
knowledge.
The one before.
Ghosted.
The ghost.
Yeah,
We
I
had
did.
a little.
Yeah,
so
I did catch that. I
he-
mean, I'll ask you off camera who the non-show person was, because I never figured that out. But
I mean, I think the cat's out of the bag. It was
just-
Hugh Ross.
oh, gotcha. Sorry, that went over my head right there.
But some miscommunications and whatnot, and he didn't show up the first time, but he showed up the second time, and it was worth the wait.
Yeah, it was good.
Worth the
It was
wait.
good.
So, but that would have been cool. Like
Yeah. I'm glad you thought about that
now,
right now.
yeah. It's been a little busy.
I understand.
You're talking about the manger. I've seen some commentaries before where that was common practice, right? If there was no room in an inn, in a hotel, that they would go out into a cave or something that was on site where the animals were, but that was still the lowest of the low place that you could be. There was,
When you think about that, I guess conceptually, I think about animals coming to there to eat. and then how many references are, the shepherd, or he feeds, that whole symbolism of that is, what Christmas is about to me. I mean, I think about the simplest thing, but the greatest gift. It's just amazing to think about.
Something that strikes me is even before he was born, Herod hears about this. King Herod hears, hey, there's a baby coming. They're saying he's the savior. He's this, he's that. And he's like, kill him.
Everybody 2 and under.
Get rid of him.
Yeah.
And just the during Jesus's entire life, before he was born, everything, Satan is attacking him through multiple people and scenarios, trying to get him to lose, which we know he can't, right? But still just a never-ending war against the love and peace of Jesus.
What amazes me about that whole thing is like with him being a king, his status. If someone told me that, I'd just be like, whatever, dude. I'm up here. There's nothing about that. I don't care about that. But he believed it, so obviously he went out and still tried to take care of that, to get rid of all the babies and everything, right?
I mean, in those days, even up through like the Middle Ages and stuff, every king or queen, monarch was super
Power hungry, I guess.
Hungry and
always worried.
Always worried about who's coming after me to take over.
Yeah, but
and killing me and all my sons and everybody who might have a claim to the throne, because I mean they're always on guard,
right,
for every threat.
I don't know. It was just me
them.
saying like this baby that hasn't even been born yet, or that's about to be born, he's gonna take my job. So I don't want to be in that situation.
Even like the monarchy in England, right, which is maybe the most famous in the world,
right?
They are just figureheads. They have no real authority anymore.
Power.
Which I don't fully understand as a non-British citizen.
Right.
The all the tie-ins and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, they're figureheads and they have official duties they perform, but it's just for national unity and symbolism and sure, whatever. I don't know.
So many of the kings too, like they're so paranoid they would have people to drink or taste their food before it got to them, just for fear of enemies and that kind of thing too. And I was going to pitch too, since you brought that up. We've been watching Following the Messiah from Right Now Media in our Sunday school class, and I recommend that. It's very entertaining. It's a video series more or less, so we discuss it a little bit, but it's usually video length 20 to 30 minutes. But like the very first session, I went back and watched that because we were going to talk about this tonight, and they went back and they go to the Church of Nativity there in Jerusalem, where they think the traditional birthplace of Jesus was, and then 12, 14 feet to the right of that is the manger area, and it's like down in a cave, like you said. And so during this series, they go through all these different places where Jesus had walked and did miracles and those kind of things, where they pretty good idea of where they are. But it's really neat to see. And you mentioned Herod. There were actual burial chambers underneath and down below that church from the first century, where they think Herod, obviously killed in fear. And it wasn't thousands of kids, but what they're saying back then, there was probably, just a couple of thousand people in the area. So probably dozens or so of kids under age 2, but still sad to see. And
significant percentage.
Yes, exactly. So, but it's really neat to go in there, and that's something me and Jeannie have been talking about. We hope to do that one day. She's been able to go to the Holy Land, and I definitely want to do that and see those places, because it's really pretty cool to see those.
Jeannie is JC's wife. Yeah. I don't know if we have enough containment to allow her to come beyond. Well, I would love for her to be on this podcast, but Jeannie is high energy in a good way. Yes. But Amanda Mundy, who has been on here before, is Jeannie's sister.
Right.
So the Jeannie did get a mention not long ago when Amanda was here. Actually, it's when Adam's wife Brittany was here, because they were talking about middle names. Mm-hmm. And so they brought up Jeannie's middle name and Amanda's middle name, and Brittany didn't think they went together. So
really?
that was pretty funny.
She didn't tie it, huh?
Yeah. Well, I thought, what's Jeannie's middle name?
Lynn.
Lynn. So they were talking about Amanda Brooke, is it?
Mm-hmm. Amanda Brooke.
And I was like, I made a face or something. And she said, I said, well, I just didn't. I'm not sure if that went together initially. And then Brittany was like, no, it's no. little cat fighty in there for a minute. Yeah, man. All right. Again, awkward transition back to Jesus. Let's but yeah, I mean that struck me of Jesus in physical form really being persecuted his entire life from a baby on until he was on the cross.
Right.
You know, and you think about Mary too. I mean, she was 14. You know, and the word is betrothed to, you know, to Joseph, where they were planning, you know, in the year's time they're going to be married, so they're planning all these different things, and then of course you get an angel just appear to you out of the blue and say, "Hey, new plan here," you know, and what she went through, and it kind of mirrors what, you know, our choice in following Jesus. You know, we're going to follow persecution and hard times, and people are going to think things about us that may or may not be true, but it's important to hold. You know, our go back to our faith and you know, in Jesus and what he means to us when we're, you know, going through those, you know, things in our daily walks.
I don't know in today's time if somebody would come up to you as, you know, hey, I didn't do this to have this child, right? And if you could persuade somebody of like, oh, God gave me this child and I haven't, you know, different times.
Well, I mean, just look at how much more stuff today we are desensitized to.
Oh yeah.
Right? That would shock someone back then of you do what? Or people do what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so even today that you're engaged, someone is engaged to someone else, and then the girl turns up pregnant. That's still a shock today. And back then when they didn't have all this other crazy stuff going on, even a bigger shock and more culturally significant. Today it is still a shock, but people gloss over it. It's like, all right, see you later. But in their society, that was a huge thing, being pure and stuff for your spouse, your future spouse.
Well, one of the things that I wrote down was like with that like Joseph's reputation was ruined during that time because he could have had her killed and he decided not to.
Yeah.
So
just the social, I mean, everyone expected him to cut bait on her and see you later. Yeah.
And technically at that time he had the right to, like, per those times, he had the right to do that.
Some would say per times today you would have the right to do that.
Yeah. Don't want to go by today's standards, that's for sure.
No. So something else that caught me of just the most important person, God in man form, but still a person, was Jesus, ever to walk the earth. But just the impact he had before he was born, King Herod and stuff chasing after him, and even after he was born. This is Luke chapter 2, verse 36. A prophetess named Anna, daughter of Phanuel, I hope I said that correctly, tribe of Asher. She was advanced in years, having lived with her husband 7 years from when she was a virgin, and then as a widow until she was 84. She never departed from the temple, worshiping, fasting, day and night, prayer, day and night. And coming up, she gave thanks to God in that very hour to speak of all who were waiting for the redemption of Jerusalem. And then Mary and Joseph show up at the temple. Anna's there and starts praising everyone, letting people know this is our Savior, this is our redemption. So even, you know, how he is recognized from, like you said, the animals, angels appearing to shepherds and be like, hey, y'all need to go check that out over there, all this kind of stuff, and just how much of an impact Jesus had in the world around him.
Right.
From the time he was born, before he was born.
Yeah, and it was prophesied for years, you know, and now he's here. And so that's one reason why Herod was very threatened for sure, because he saw those things coming to light.
And this is way fast forwarding because I have a separate Bible study that I'm in on Wednesday mornings. And just to think of the impact of his life from the beginning and before his time. And then today we ended with him on the cross and the crucifixion. and the robbers that were on both sides that were also being crucified, and how one of them came to know Christ at that moment. It's like, he's had an impact before, he's lived out this whole prophecy, and even to the end. And you're thinking, wow, like all of that is in here, right? Like it's all truth. And so, just like what you said, from a baby all the way to the end, it's just crazy to think about.
So we have Adam here with us, and so I just want to know, with being a new believer, what are your thoughts on Christmas from being before not being a believer to now?
I think the best way that I can put that is taking the time to read through the New Testament and look through the New Testament about the birth of Christ or Jesus and what he went through. It's a lot different than what you see painted on TV, on Hallmark cards and in Hallmark movies. So I think that was the biggest eye-opening thing to me is just how much Hollywood paints it to be this glorious picture. And it was glorious time, but it wasn't all rainbows. As you said, the king trying to kill him. And you see the thing that sticks out in my mind mentally is that, everybody gathered around the manger. Well, the three wise men probably didn't even see him for the first year. So it's just completely different. And I think it was well worth taking the time to read the New Testament to kind of understand the difference between what they're painting and what's realistic.
Right.
So easier question. So what was Christmas like before you were a believer?
It's just another day, right? It's all about a jolly old giant red man that comes down your chimney and drops off presents, and that was what Christmas was about.
As Fano's wife, Lori, would say, I don't understand why we had let this guy in our house to leave us presents. Like, somebody should call the cops on that guy.
But that's what Christmas was about as a kid growing up. It wasn't about, it wasn't about Jesus. It was about, hey, I get a lot of presents, and this is a great day. It's a lot different now, knowing and understanding the meaning behind it and the way that it actually, and what it is actually celebrating.
And that's the same for me too. I became a believer later in life too, and Christmas Eve service now is just so special. And when you hear a Holy Night sung and Mary Did You Know, I mean, it just carries a totally different meaning after you have time to read and learn, and you've been discipled by folks that have been so great to come alongside of you and kind of guide you and direct you. It's just a totally different thing. It really is.
You're right. They're a lot different than just really cool songs and great songs that Pentatonics plays. Now there is actually a meaning that you can understand behind it, and that really opens your eyes. That as a non-Christian growing up, you don't really understand it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm in the same boat. I became a Christian later in life, but I'll ask you both the same question. And I don't mind answering it either. But like, how has, since you've been a Christian, impacted the way you lead your homes for Christmas? Like, I mean, are there different traditions or different things that you will do now, knowing this, than, hey, it's all about the gifts, or hey, it's all about, Well,
I will say this is going to be the first Christmas, right? So how are we going to change it? And me and Brittany have had a lot of talks about, do we keep Santa Claus, or do we go to, the wise men? They brought gifts. You get gifts because the wise men brought gifts for Jesus that were a significant meaning. And I don't know. We'll figure it out. We haven't really got there yet. We are going to come to the Christmas Eve services. So we'll see where it goes. But I can tell you that I want it to be different. It's not going to be all about you.
Stuff.
Hey, you get presents and
Right.
So I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that yet, but we've discussed a little bit.
And, of course, I married into the first family of Parkway there years ago. So, that really formed and shaped me, too, along with my relationship with Christ. We're here, and my family's going to be here, especially on Christmas Eve. And if service falls on Christmas morning, then we're having service, then we're going to be here as well, just because it's a special day. And you think about the creator of the universe came to save us. I think I can get here,
The least you could do is do that.
It's the least I could do. It's a common theme around we're getting ready for church on Sunday mornings, and people are not getting out of bed so well. I always say, well, the creator of the universe is waiting on you. You need to come on. Let's move on here. And so,
love it.
But it changes things, and I'm excited for Adam, and and I'm thankful that somebody took the time to make sure that I knew Christ as well.
Absolutely. I think about my stories much like Adam's. I mean, it was just another day. You look forward to all the getting together with family and the gifts, right? And now that I have a little one at home, Zoe, that trying to instill values in her that don't really reflect, the gifts, right? Like she knows that we're going to read the Christmas story the night before, come to Christmas Eve service, but instilling those for her to have a foundation to look at is more important to me now than the stuff. I mean, it's just different.
Yeah,
Yep.
you want to bless your kids, and you want to give them everything you didn't have, but the main thing you got to start with is the gift, and that's Jesus. And that's the way to go for sure.
Absolutely.
Amen. Well, I will say one thing that was kind of, so I went and got some random facts or whatever that were what people now will say, well, this is what happened. But when you go and look at it really, and you start putting some clues with it and start to look at that, you realize that's maybe not the truth. So like one of the things you said was like the wise men. Well, the wise men weren't there. A lot of people say like the wise men were there when Jesus was born, but really he was sent, and it took him like 2 years to get there. So really they were there when he was like 2. So, but you don't really hear that very often, right? So, one of the other things that I found on there, or I found was like,
It's funny you say that. Nobody sets up a nativity set and then leaves the wise men
Yeah.
journeying back there.
like get the binoculars out. They're over there, coming. But then like another thing was like we celebrate this in December, but I don't think it was done. I don't think he was born in December. I think it was more like in the springtime. And so like what I have wrote down is. So we celebrate his birth in December, but most likely he was born in the springtime. In the year 336 AD, Emperor Constantine established Christmas to be on the winter solstice. In Luke 2, it talks about the shepherds abiding in their fields. During springtime, sheep gave birth to lambs, hence why they would be out in the fields at night in case there was a birth of a lamb occurred. And that's why they're out there. So maybe it didn't happen in December. It actually happened more like in the springtime.
Look at you.
I know.
Full of knowledge.
I show up every once in a while.
That's called Google.
It was Google, but I had to dig a little bit. Come on.
Yeah.
I think another thing that goes along kind of with what
Yeah.
you're saying is that I think the thing that so far has caught me the biggest surprise is it was Bethlehem. You've always known it was in Bethlehem, but it wasn't like Bethlehem was this big giant city. It was pretty much an irrelevant city back in that time, and that's where they chose to have the King of Kings. And I think that's a pretty interesting fact, considering that he could have been born in Jerusalem, the holy town, or the holy city, and he wasn't.
And if obviously we've all had kids here, and you think about a special, when you've had you in there to witness your child being born, if you've had the pleasure of doing that. I've been there twice, and so it's really unbelievable, that whole process. But you think that just doesn't compare. I mean, there's nothing in comparison. And you think about, just like you said, the wise men being led to come later, the angels and all that they did and foretold and told, the whole story. It's really hard to grasp your mind around it, actually, at some point in time. But the faith is there, and the Savior is there for us, and that's just, it's really humbling to me, the whole story.
When I think about something that Ryan said, does it matter to me that if we celebrate in December, if it was in spring, or were the wise men there, were they not? Like there's things that are just unexplainable in this book that just there's a faith element, and that's good enough for me, right? And
exactly,
that's just kind of what you said about Hollywood and people making the time and the scene. At some point, I choose to believe this, and the details are not that important to me.
Well, needing binoculars to see the wise men doesn't make for a good movie, right?
So not at all. Not at all. So
I'm sure Ryan wouldn't have seen it anyway.
He wouldn't have watched it anyway.
I don't know, that movie I might have picked up. I might have had to get into good old Netflix or something to come get that one. No.
I just remembered a family tradition too that I totally forgot about. But my mother-in-law, Miss Beverly Moore, has a birthday cake on Christmas Eve for the kids, and we sing Happy Birthday to Jesus, and because he's coming, and That's something
about
that it's really, some people say, well, but it's it's a celebration, and it's the right way to celebrate it, and it gets you away from the gifts for a while. You want the kids to be excited about Christmas Day, but it puts it in the right perspective.
Absolutely.
I think one of y'all should sing "Mary, Did You Know" as we leave.
I second that. We get enough votes for
It's
Ryan to
time for
sing?
me to go now. No, one thing I do know is that I'm very grateful that God decided to let Jesus go with Mary, like for Mary to have Jesus, because he took this nobody, this teenager from this outsider from Nazareth, and basically said, if she can have he's for everybody. It's not for just these high and mighty people. He's for everyone. So that I love that.
I was going to read a Bible verse, or one came to me as we were talking about the lesson this week. It's from Luke chapter 1, verse 36. And when, Mary was getting all the instructions from the angel on what was about to happen, and, she just had to be floored and think, what in the world? And I'm 14, and what people think and that kind of thing. Mary answered, she said, I'm the Lord's servant. Mary answered, may it be to me as you have said. And she was ready to follow and do a glorious work, actually, and to her we're very thankful, and then obviously she's a big part in what we believe in and the Christmas story. So I thought that was a good scripture.
Absolutely.
Love it. Well said. Well, I think that's it for us. We love you. God loves you more.
We're throwing a lot
Still
of shade
working.
on Ryan on this time.
Whatever. What do you mean a lot of shade? It's every single episode is a lot of shade.
Well, I was taking it easy on you that time. I was under a time crunch because I knew you had
We
practice.
haven't been able to make it work.
Practice?
Practice.
We talk about practice?
How are you up on Alf but not coming to America?
I've seen it before. I can't help that. I don't know. Yeah. Don't know. Action. No, I'm just kidding. I'm playing.
Welcome to being put on the spot,
Right?
guys.
So basically, not to put you on the spot, but with being a new believer, how with now what you're going through and everything, what do you think of the difference? Hold on, I'm trying to think how to write this. Sorry, I'm on the spot trying to think of how to say it.
Please leave all this in there.
No.
Outtakes 101.
Yeah,
This is for the blooper show.
I hate doing this stuff.
Send us home, Ryan. Wrap it up.
Well, everyone, thank you for listening. I think we're done here. Again, go and check our website. And I just want to blank on what our website is. gpstogod.com, I think. I'm not used to running this.
I mean, you've only said you've been on here 50 episodes. I mean,
I don't do it.
Hey guys, we're glad that speaking like Ryan now.
Yep.
Here we
there you
go.
I'm done doing this podcast.
Thanks for listening to GPS to God. Make sure you leave a rating or review on whichever app you happen to use. Also find us on YouTube and be sure to subscribe to our channel.